So we've been hearing about a new Xbox controller for a while now. The first look at it, the documentation came out during the Activision Blizzard FTC trial where we got the look at Sebel, which is going to be the codename of the controller. They're looking to upgrade it and make it, I think, more along the lines of the DualSense with haptic feedback. But other than that, we don't know too much about what this controller is going to bring to the table. And I'm assuming this is going to be for the next generation that can also be fully backwards compatible. We'll take a look at that because the patents have come out. We have a bit more information on it. We have another look at Rare's Everwild screenshot. I mean, this game has so many questions surrounding it, but we got a small, tiny update here that will keep people's hopes up that the game is in development. Xbox is looking very good for the future. There's some analysts that are looking at the Xbox console wars style of thing with Xbox versus PlayStation and everything, and just the business of Xbox and where they're going to be in the future. And I've been saying this for a while. I think Xbox has set themselves up to be a leader in gaming going forward, and we'll have an article that goes over that. We'll talk about all of that stuff, but before we continue, if you do enjoy daily gaming news and content, make sure to hit the subscribe, share the video, all that stuff, and let's jump into it here with the Xbox new Sebel, I don't even know how to say it, but the new controller that they are going to be potentially bringing out. So here it is. We have this article here from Windows Central, and it's called Xbox's new Sebel controller breaks cover in this new patent, and we now know what the weird grippy trousers are for. Because that was one of the funny things. If we go down here, if you remember that picture that did drop here of the evolution of the Xbox controller, the design of it, I mean, it looked basically the exact same as to what we currently do have, but it did have pants on. And people were confused why they added pants onto the controller. The thoughts were probably for some sort of functionality that they are going to be adding in there. And it looks like now we do know exactly why it is wearing these pants. It says here, as a part of the canceled mid-gen Xbox consoles Brooklyn and Elwood, Microsoft had also planned a new controller dubbed Sebel, and the controller is detailed below, showcasing a direct-to-cloud connectivity similar to Stadia alongside various other improvements. So a patent was filed this month in the United States, and it's unmistakably Sebel owing to the configuration of the plastic housing. In the Sebel leaks above, one aspect of the controller that always seemed a little odd was the grips, which would look a bit like the controller is wearing trousers. In the patents below, it seems that it's by design for a couple of reasons. Microsoft wants to retain the ergonomic feel of the existing range of Xbox controllers, which is the best feeling controller. In my opinion, it is the best ergonomically, better than PlayStation's controller, better than Nintendo's Pro controller. It is the best controller on the market, at least for my hands. And some people may disagree with me, but I think it is by far the best feeling controller. So I don't really want them to make major changes to Xbox's overall design. I just want maybe some additional features such as haptic feedbacks added onto it. And it looks like that's what the pants are for. That's why they added this design to it. As the grips, they say, also house new haptic motors that can direct high definition impulses, and it describes how the new motors are spread throughout the device and should actuate consistently irrespective of how the player moves the housing of the controller. You can see here, this is the pattern. You can see all of the rumbles that they do have within it, and basically if you've used a DualSense, you can kind of get a feel as to what it would be like when you're playing a game. Certain things are happening on screen. Your controller will have different motors going on one side of the controller versus the next, and you kind of feel them move across the controller. It's pretty cool. I actually do really like the haptics on the PlayStation 5 DualSense. It's one of the better features out there. What I don't like at all about the PS5 DualSense are the triggers. Those things are the most annoying, and I'm just hoping Xbox doesn't go along those lines thinking that people do want that, because from a lot of people I've talked to, they don't really like them. And when you're playing multiplayer first-person shooters, you turn those off because you don't want resistance on the triggers when you're trying to get through a multiplayer match. Now, some other things here that's pretty cool is that they show how the pulses and vibrations can be tuned to mimic a wide variety of sounds and motions. It can even move independently of the controller's housing. And it also suggests that the haptic motors will be able to mimic the previous style vibrations from backwards compatibility purposes, eliminating the need for developers to intervene to make their games work on this new controller, which, not surprising, if you've been following Xbox at all since this generation, they're planning to make everything backwards compatible. You can use Xbox One controllers on your Xbox Series, so there's no way that they will release a brand new controller with new features that you can't go back and use on your Series. You're probably going to be able to even use it on your Xbox One. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. So this will be one that you pick up and then you can use across all of the multiple different devices that you do have from Xbox. And if they make it direct to cloud, it'll probably be one that they try to push for people if they want to just get Xbox Cloud Gaming, the one to go pick up and buy. Now, it goes on here and says another interesting aspect of Sebo is the fact that it will borrow a feature from Stadia that it will connect directly to the cloud games over Wi-Fi, and players will be able to directly point the controller at different devices via an active devices list of sorts, similar to how you can point Spotify to different devices you've connected to your account. So very cool. You're going to be able to switch between your console, your PC, your cloud gaming, your phone, all of these things all at the same time with many different devices of Xbox on the go. So they say this will bypass Bluetooth and eliminate a few additional milliseconds of latency when playing games in the cloud itself. There's one thing with Xbox right now is because their controller is utilized for everything, it can get annoying if you have to reconnect it. They do have the functionality with the connection button on the top of the controller to go between two devices. So for example, from your PC to your console, if you double tap it, it will switch seamlessly, which I think it's a feature a lot of people didn't know about, and they've had it for a while, I do believe. So this will be the next jump into the Xbox controller. I mean, if it comes out, companies always put out these patents and everything, but this one makes a ton of sense. Like, you want to upgrade it incrementally. You don't want to change the ergonomic design. You don't want to make anything too crazy, which is what they did from Xbox One to Xbox Series. But adding haptics would be a nice addition, and you keep it fully backwards compatible. You just give people the choice of what controller that they do want to use. They're not going to be locked into having to pick up this new Xbox controller with the next generation. In terms of the launch, they are saying here that the controller won't launch before the next range of Xbox hardware does. And they say Microsoft is expected to be working on an Xbox handheld as well as a more traditional Xbox console to replace the Xbox Series X. That makes complete sense, because I think with the next traditional Xbox that they do release, the controller will be one of those things they try to sell people on. It'll be a selling point to go and pick it up because you'll get one shipped in the box. But you won't have to. You can just pick it up by itself and use it on everything that you do have. I know if they do announce this and release it, I will definitely be picking one up, even just to play on my Series X and use those new haptics that they do have. So happy to see that, because haptics is always something that I've mentioned that I do like on both the Nintendo Switch and on the PlayStation 5 DualSense. And now that they're going to bring that over to Xbox, it's literally going to be the perfect overall controller, having the features that actually increase immersion, no real gimmicky stuff, and then giving you the best ergonomics, which I believe the Xbox controller does have. All right, let's talk Everwild briefly, because Everwild, we know it's a game from Rare. It's going to be their next big one here to try to, I guess you could say, top or at least be along the same lines of Sea of Thieves with the just insane success of a game that was. But there's so many questions about this game because we still don't really know anything about it. We've just seen that one trailer that they did put out. Then we got all those media reports that there were some development issues with it. Then we had Matt Booty pushing back on that, saying that those reports were out of hand and there really wasn't as big of development hell as people were making it out to be. And we still really haven't heard anything. And I'm hoping 2025 is the year where we do see it at the Xbox Games Showcase. But while we wait for that, we do have this. The Rare and Everwild, they say, treated to a surprise Everwild appearance ahead of the new year. They put out this tweet here saying, "Happy holidays, whoever's seeing this. Hope you're closing this year out in style. And as it's the day of fine gifts, finer food, here's our offering, a delicious PNG for you to enjoy. Right, we're off to eat a Patago Titan hypothesized wait in sweets till 2025. And that's it. I mean, it's just a picture on X here. I mean, it's a nice picture. The artwork is all beautiful and everything, but they are teasing it here by putting this out because we really haven't heard anything and seen anything. They didn't have to do this, and maybe they are hinting here that the fact that they say till 2025, they could be showing up here at the Xbox Game Showcase, or maybe crazier than all, it may be at the Developer Direct in January. I think will catch a lot of people by surprise if this is one of the games that does show up there. It's about time you could say that, because of the fact that it's been so long since we've seen anything or even heard about anything, at least positively, around Everwild. So fingers crossed that we do end up hearing more about this game in 2025. All right, let's jump over here and let's talk about Xbox versus PlayStation going forward into 2025 and beyond, because obviously the number one narrative that a lot of people love to push is just console sales. Xbox is dead. It's going away. They're not going to be making any more hardware, which is obviously not true. PlayStation is going to continue to be the leader because they sell more consoles, which if you take a look at this generation, that narrative has pretty much been destroyed by both of those companies, that console sales isn't the main thing that they need to focus on here. It's expanding their reach, putting their games in more places, improving their subscription services. Sales and software is what drives this industry forward. And I think Xbox has set themselves up in a better position than PlayStation for the future. And we have an analyst here, Matt Piscatella from Circana, who is basically saying that Xbox has a very bright future as you see tons of Xbox sales within the PlayStation sales charts, meaning Xbox makes a lot of money off of PlayStation gamers and off of the fanboys who love to hate on Xbox all of the time. But we have this article here from Games Radar's interview with Games Radar and Matt Piscatella, the executive director of games at Circana, discussing Xbox's past, present, and future, and believes that the company favors are about to turn partly due to strong PlayStation sales, which is something you would have never thought about years ago. That Xbox is going to be in a better position because of strong PlayStation sales, basically that they're buying the Xbox game. It says here, if you look at what's going on now in sales, if you look at like the PlayStation sales charts, you see a lot of Microsoft on there. And the more that they can broaden the appeal of their products, their IP across platform holders, why not do that? Which is, I mean, basically what they are thinking and what I've been kind of talking about here. I know people get very worked up about this when you hear that this is what they're trying to do because of the fear that the console will go away at some point. It will go away at some point, but I think consoles across the board will be going away at some point. But we know we're getting another generation, and it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. It looks like that they're going to be licensing out their OS, and we're going to have multiple different types of devices out there from Xbox. But broadening their appeal of their products is what they have to do, especially in parts of the world where Xbox doesn't sell. Everyone loves to talk about the Xbox 360 and how great of a console that was, which it was. And they had a lot of exclusives, but it still did not sell in places like Japan. It sold like over 1 million, 1.6 or 1.7 million or something along those lines. So it doesn't matter how many exclusives they have. People aren't going to buy Xboxes in certain parts of the world. They have to get their games in front of those people to be able to make money off of them and to expand. So I think it is a smart decision going forward. Then he goes on here and he says that Xbox's future, or they're talking about Xbox future to embrace other platforms rather than competing with them, and to ensure that even if console sales falter, that like as they have in recent years, they can still make up for it with sales of their games. And he says, Matt Piscatella says this: you look towards the future, and some of the things they've talked about, expanding the reach of the Xbox brand well beyond the Xbox console, is a key initiative, and they're executing on that. You look at their results in their earnings report, and you go, okay, that looks pretty darn good. Even though they recognize that console sales themselves are lagging for them, you look at the way, and the future is actually looking pretty bright. Although, yeah, it's been a rocky couple of years for sure. When it comes to Game Pass, Matt Piscatella believes here that Game Pass is one of the most important aspects of it is to be a marketing machine for Xbox titles, describing it as having more of a broad approach where subscriptions are more of part of doing things like driving sales on other platforms and ecosystems, and views Game Pass as an important part of Xbox's brand, but believes Xbox's move to a more balanced approach as opposed to their previous focus on the service is a smart one, saying, I think it has a really nice role to fill in a portfolio of products being offered to consumers, but perhaps the previous strategy of going all in on just that, course correcting from that, seems to be a good decision. So there it is. And in terms of games like Helldivers 2, believes that PlayStation has had more of an effort to capture audiences on other platforms, but that Xbox has been far more aggressive in this regard. And PlayStation has. You can definitely see their strategy. They are following along the lines of Xbox, which is kind of, look at the history of consoles. They have implemented a lot of things onto PlayStation after Xbox has already implemented them. And you look at the subscriptions, PlayStation Plus, the whole rejigging of it that they did, that was a direct response to Game Pass. And I think that they will continue to make adjustments going forward to increase their subscriptions and increase their services and stuff by putting games into other places and then potentially putting their games day one at some point onto PlayStation Plus, or maybe a select few day one onto PlayStation Plus to really try and drive their overall subscribers into that service. So there's a lot going on here, but I do think, and I agree with Matt Piscatella here, that in terms of the future of Xbox, it is very, very bright because of the decisions that they have been making, which goes against a lot of the narrative you do see online where people literally think that Xbox is going away, which is crazy to think about after all the investments that they've made and all the moves that they have been making. If you do follow it, it looks like they are just trying to make sure that going forward, they will be everywhere and that they're going to continue to have the Xbox brand for the gamers that do want it. But hey, that's my look at it. I could be wrong. I think it would go catastrophic and maybe they shut it down, but very, very doubtful at this point. But on the video there, guys, if you do enjoy daily gaming news content, you do enjoy this type of content, make sure to hit the subscribe, share the video, all that stuff. I appreciate all the support, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.